Hello everyone, IMS welcomes you all to our webinar series, Future You, Set Your Career Compass Right with Experts Insight, and I am Kalyani Majumdar, your host for today's webinar. So today our topic is Careers in Business Analytics. So in this webinar, you'll find out about what are the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst, what are the job roles that a candidate specializing in business analytics can go for, data analytics versus business analytics, what's the difference, core skills required to excel in this field, how to build your profile to stand out from the rest, and more. So today for this session, our speaker is Puneet Vashisht. He's a data scientist with Goldman Sachs. He's a PGDBA alumnus, which is offered jointly by IIM Calcutta, IIT Kharagpur, and ISI Kolkata. Puneet has 7+ years of work experience in the field of data science in fintech and consumer loyalty industry with some of the top firms such as MasterCard, Gartner, and of course his present role at Goldman Sachs. He has also interned with Barclays. So welcome Puneet Vashisht, and thank you so much for being here today for this session.
Thanks a lot, Kalyani. Thanks for the lovely introduction. Happy to be here.
Yeah, great. So let's start with your career trajectory. So let's start from, you worked as a data scientist before pursuing a PGDBA. What was the trigger for you to pursue a PGDBA? So, if you can just, jog us a bit through your engineering background and how exactly this PGDBA happened. And then, we can move forward.
Got it. So interesting. So when I joined after undergraduation, so I have a choice that okay, engineering is not my cup of tea, so I'll move probably to MBA kind of field or something that and also I wanted to be more, very attached to the technical aspects as well. And before that, I just wanted that because I want to learn more about how the business is run. So that's why I joined a startup so that I can get an end-to-end idea of where I am fitting and how this whole world of business is running. Right. And then I can make informed decision whether which field I would want to go. And that's where I joined startup into the loyalty domain, and I worked there for most of the 3 years of my career, and worked there as a data science, built up the team, and that's where I could understand each of the business verticals, what is marketing, how the sales is doing, how the data analysis coming into this picture. And that's where I started more inclined towards the data analysis part, how it has a larger impact on the business. Okay. And with that, I wanted just to get more understanding of the data and statistics knowledge. And I found this course, and it's a superb curriculum. So that's where I joined PGDBA to enhance my knowledge into data science, as well as learn more about the business fields and different kind of domains of the business analytics. So,
okay. Yeah. So now that so you have been working as a data scientist before pursuing a PGDBA, and then now you are a data scientist with Goldman Sachs after PGDBA. So what exactly are the roles and responsibilities now, and how different is it to work as a data scientist now? Okay. So you can kind of compare before and now. Yeah.
Great question. So before, as I mentioned, right? So before having a PGDBA, I was into one domain, and I knew mostly about that domain. And now I am after PGDBA, I have knowledge in all the domains. At least I am very much confident that given a domain, I can get a knowledge into that domain and enhance my skills and utilize my skills to build up that business. Specifically at Goldman Sachs, I am into consumer division of the Goldman Sachs, and in the consumer division, it's all about again about working with the big data and working on how the customers are behaving. It's very unique role in Goldman Sachs, and what I would say that what the larger difference from before and after is now I'm making more of decisions which are more inclined towards the financially benefit. So the decisions which would give me financial benefit, and that's not in long term. I'm not talking about 5-6 years. Like if I do some analysis now, I would see the results after 5-6 years. I want to see the results in 1 or 2 years. I want to see immediate results and not a long-term estimates. So that's the what the difference is working right now at Goldman Sachs. Before I was working for a long-term goal. Okay, I'll build the data pipelines, and someday they would benefit us from that analysis. But right now it's more focused on like short-term benefits.
Okay. So what exactly are the roles and responsibilities of a data scientist, or for that matter, even as a, if you are a business analyst in a company? So what exactly are the roles and responsibilities?
Okay.
Is it very different? Is it very different, like being a data scientist and a business analyst?
Okay, I'll just define that. So there are, if you think of an axis, right? So one is mostly inclined towards business. On the other end of the axis, you put a technical. And like earlier in the, like, let's say if I talk about 10 years earlier, there would be one mostly inclined towards the business. There would be one mostly inclined towards the technical. But like from the last 10 years, we are seeing an amalgamation of both of these roles. And that is because we have a lot of data to churn on. Now the business person cannot make a decision or good decisions just based on their intuition. They would, because they have all the data, they can crunch all the data, they have that power to crunch all the data, they can make an informed decision. And the technical aspects also, they want to move, like understand more business focus. So it's an amalgamation of these two roles that came out as a business analyst or data science, whatever you talk about it. So that is where it would lie into. It is amalgamation of business and the technical knowledge, and that's where, like, as a roles and responsibility, you would continuously hunt down for looking at how the business could improve using the data science, or you can also look for what all data you should collect from the consumers to make more informed decisions. So that's how this roles and responsibilities come into picture. And as part of it, one can easily suit themselves towards more towards a business or more towards a technical aspect, but they would have to combine both these dimensions.
Okay, but what exactly is the difference between business analytics and data analytics? And the thing is you have an engineering background. Is that something that really helps you in analytics, or even a non-engineering background person can excel in this field? So you can take it in parts. First, let's talk about business analytics and data analytics. How different are they? Are they the same? Where is the overlap?
Great question. So I'll just start with so normally when we talk about analytics, right? So we segregate them into three major buckets. One is descriptive analytics, which is just describing out of the data, like this is how your data looks, this is how your sales month-on-month sales look, this is how your marketing campaign ROI is looking at, right? So that is just a descriptive. You are not doing anything beyond that. And then comes a second bucket, which is predictive analytics, which is like, I want to predict something. Let's say my sales is this. What would be my sales in the next season or in the festive season? What would be the sales? Would it be 2x? Would it be 3x? I want to predict so that I can make an informed decision. Let's say about for example, about the inventory. I can make an informed decision about it. So that's the second bucket, which is predictive analytics. And then the third bucket comes into, which is prescriptive analytics, where you are recommending to the business, okay, this is what I found out from the descriptive analytics, and this is what my predictive analytics tells us, and this is what my recommendation would be. You should do this, and rather than doing this part. So that's where the prescriptive analytics sits into. Now, the data analyst part is more inclined towards the descriptive part, or a little bit of the predictive part. So they would mostly be working on the data part. They would just be crunching the data. They would be building reports out of the data so that business persons can look at that report and make an informed decision. Business analyst, on the other hand, would come into between prescriptive and the predictive analytics. So they would use the predictive analytics and then they would make more informed decisions based on what they got from the predictive or the descriptive analytics, and
Okay.
they would be prescribing. And because it's a business analyst, right? So you would definitely be knowing more about the business. You should have a lot of domain knowledge.
Okay.
So once you have a domain knowledge, combining that with the data analyst reports or the data analyst help, you can build a more informed decisions and prescribe to the business. So that's where the exact difference lies into between the business
Okay.
analyst and the data analyst.
Okay, so there's been a lot of questions about your educational background. So let's talk about again about the PGDBA and also your BTech and all that. So and also, can you also talk about your PGDBA, as in the first part is at IIM Calcutta, or the first part is done at IIT Kharagpur,
Okay.
then IIM Calcutta, and then ISI Kolkata, or how does it work? As in how many months, where, what? Yeah.
Okay, I'll just touch upon that. So I did my undergraduation from IIT Kharagpur. Being from an engineering field, I just wanted to. Then I joined as a startup in a data science domain where I was building teams. Now PGDBA is a course that major goal of this course or creating this course was from the founder's perspective. It was to get a manager or and data science domain. There's who would join at mid or senior level, who would be managing the team. It's not a research kind of role that they were
Okay.
looking for, and that's where the goal of this course is like this, that getting people into mid and senior level so that they can manage the data science teams.
Yeah.
Now, how the PGDBA course works is like first it would build a foundation of you're in let's say 1 month you have in IIM Calcutta, which is like
Okay.
very basic knowledge of all the subjects. You would get HR analytics or financial statements, how would you read about the finance, and all those basic courses would be there. That would be only 1 month.
Okay.
After that, you have around 6 months at ISI Kolkata, where you would
Okay.
build foundation of your data science, which is like statistics. You would learn about statistics. They would prepare you for anything about the statistics. And then it would be going into IIT Kharagpur, where you would be doing again more of a technical aspects, and you would be learning a little bit on supply chain management and then the technical aspects from the computer science department, the courses. So that is more you are building foundation for the technical. Once you have statistics and technical knowledge, the final 6 months would be at IIM Calcutta, which is
Okay.
a rigorous semester where you can choose which kind of field you want to, whether you want to do a marketing analytics kind of more dig deep into marketing analytics, or a financial, or a HR analytics, or supply chain optimization. So all these electives you can choose, and then you would apply your statistics as well as your technical knowledge that you gained from ISI Kolkata and Kharagpur into that semester, and that's where like it would be more into like combining the business understanding with your technical knowledge. And then the final 6 months you would do a 6 months of internship, and that internship is just like another placement, but it's of 6 months. And that is the final 6 months you would spend at an internship, where from academic you would get a mentor at academic, you would get a mentor at the internship, or where you are doing internship from the company, and those two people would guide you how you would do into the data science domain. And then finally like that's the whole curriculum of 2 years course.
Okay. So there's a very good question about after PGDBA, is your role more technical or managerial?
Yes. So as I mentioned, right? So after PGDB, it's a your choice whether you want to go into a managerial kind of field or a technical kind of field. So the course was evolved to get into a managerial kind of roles, right? So I worked as a managerial role into Mastercard, and then Goldman Sachs is works quite different, but it's more of in the IC kind of role where you would utilize your technical skills, but you are mentor of new joiners or the new team members as well. So it's an amalgamation of that.
Okay. Okay. There's a question about which are the exams that you had given to join PGDBA. Well, PGDBA is a separate test in itself, and you have to take that. But of course, Puneet can probably answer a little bit about how it is slightly different from CAT. So while you're preparing for CAT, you can also prepare for PGDBA. And then, of course, there are certain parts of the paper that are more based on your the mathematics that you did in class 12,
Yes.
I believe. Yeah, so
Yes.
Puneet
Yes.
can talk a little bit more about it. Yeah.
So PGDBA exam, as from the exam perspective, it is divided into again three parts. The as compared to the CAP, the VA section would always be there, verbal ability. Then you have a DI section, which is already there in PGDBA exam as well. And then there is a third section which differs a lot. In CAT exam, you have a quantitative ability. You would not get a lot of calculus questions there.
Correct.
But in PGDBA, it's more focused on what is your deep knowledge about the probability statistics or the matrices part. So it has a more weightage for 11th and 12th maths, and that's a more weighted part as well, because they want to have candidates who are strongly inclined towards the mathematics. So that's where the PGDBA would differ from the CAT exam.
Is okay, should business analysts be aware of coding?
Yes and no as well. So yes, because in order to understand, right, a few concepts, right, you should be aware of at least basic coding. And a no from a perspective that not now a lot of automated tools have come up which would give you. And so once you want to, let's say, solve a problem via data science, there would be an auto ML solution which would just take in data and give you output of those solutions. You need not get deep into coding domain. So that's where, like, as I mentioned, right, so business analyst also, it defines like whether you want to be more towards the technical side or whether you want to be more on a business side. So that's your personal choice, and the kind of roles you would get into is based on that personal choice only.
So again, now let's talk about then the skills that are really required. So with the thing is, like, we can talk about probably maybe 3 hard skills and 3 soft skills that are required as a business analyst.
So it's definitely not for people only for engineering background. Anyone can who is interested into mathematics. So the interest in the mathematics is definitely like you should have, right? It should not be like, I don't want to see any kind of equation and I want to get into a data science domain or a business analyst domain. That is separate question, right? So you probably, I would say that there would be difficulties in that. It's not impossible, but there would be difficulties in that case. So you should be interested into mathematics, and given that you are coming from a different background, let's say arts or commerce, that's always a plus point. And it's not always engineers, or even from the people who have done like statistics, right, studied statistics in their undergraduation, they are more preferable. They are like more preferable for this PGDBA course, because the foundation is statistics, right? And that's where you would need mostly the mathematics. In terms of the hard skills that from the PGDBA perspective or getting into business analyst role is like, one is highly interested into the data science data. You should not be afraid of the data, looking at a lot of data and the reports. So you should be very comfortable with the data skills. The second part is you should be knowing a little, not much, about the coding part or like on the business part. The third skill is like problem solving skills. Like it's a everywhere, I think we should be getting into problem solving skills, even if I'm MBA or anything, but you should be able to connect these two dots. So I think these are the 3 main skills as per me that should get into you into a business analyst profile. And soft skills definitely required. It's not like so it's like it has evolved a lot. It's not that you can just code, or you can report do a reporting on your side and then you can say that, okay, do this. Because you are talking with the senior management, you are prescripting, right? So as I mentioned, connecting from the earlier, you are on the prescription side, so you should be talking about the senior management. How would you communicate your results to the business, right? That's where it matters. It's not and there you would definitely require negotiation skills, or you would definitely require communication skills when you are talking to a senior manager. Okay, this solution of yours was good 10 years before,
Yeah.
but now
Okay.
you should change that. So that
Okay.
kind of negotiation, that kind of manipulation, you should be ready with
Okay.
those kind of soft skills,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
ultimately, let's say you are into like manufacturing plant, and you say that, okay, with this data, that is where you should be doing, and
Hmm.
then you are speaking with the people who has like 30 years of experience already into that unit. They have been working in that manufacturing plant for 30 years, and you are saying, suddenly you are coming and saying, this method is not working, this is what I recommend. There would definitely have a lot of risk, like resistance there. So
Yeah.
that's where you would need your soft skills, how you communicate your results to
Hmm.
business, how you say that this would definitely have an impact. Once you have your own solutions, how would you track that, those impacts? So
Hmm.
those kind of skills is definitely required in business.
Okay. So you also need soft skills. Yeah. So, yeah. So the thing is, okay, since business analytics, the field of business analytics, data analytics, these are, and even PGDBA for that matter, these are relatively newer roles, right?
Exactly.
As compared to, say, MBA. Okay. So now
Mhm,
the thing
mhm.
is like, if, since you said that, you are also somebody who's bringing solutions for the company, so you were kind of almost a business analytics professional is almost like a consultant, right?
Yes,
Who's
exactly.
bringing solutions and who's probably studying the numbers as well as understanding the market
Business.
and, yeah, business, and bringing in solutions. So then, do you think in 5 years time, maybe they would actually prefer someone in consulting role who is actually from business analytics instead of somebody who is just a pure MBA? Hmm.
In terms of if we just talk about the consulting industry,
Hmm.
right? So there have been a lot of changes recently, which I can see from the consulting analysis, and probably you might also have seen, right? So
Hmm.
every consulting industry has come up with a separate division which is focused on a data science. So
Okay.
let's say in McKinsey, there is a knowledge center. In
Okay.
BCG, it's called I'm not sure what's the name of
Hmm.
that division. In Bain, there is
Okay.
a separate division which is doing the data science separately.
Okay.
And
Okay.
how they are thinking of this whole combination is like, okay, data science is mostly they are working because they have more into technical knowledge,
Hmm.
and consulting domain is basically more towards the business side.
Hmm.
And how they can bridge this gap is
Hmm.
by having a separate department within their own consulting firm which would focus on the data science part, and then
Okay.
work closely with the consultant. Obviously, the
Okay.
lines blur a little bit
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
between, because a data scientist who is more inclined towards the business can move to the slowly to the consulting domain, or
Right.
consultant who is more inclined towards the technical can move into the
Yeah.
data science.
Okay.
But there is definitely a separate division you would see
Hmm.
created in the recent years in all the consulting firms,
Okay.
and they have been hiring on basis like hiring a lot in those divisions, which would mostly focus on developing long-term solutions for different kind of domains which are focused into the data science. Okay, so for
Okay.
example, into healthcare, they would have some problem which could be solved by data science. They would build one solution, and then they would be replicating that solution over to other clients, right?
Okay.
So, and same ways like finance, or let's say supply chain, there has been a lot of research on the supply chain, and a lot of data has been used in the supply
Hmm.
chain.
Hmm.
So they would be solving those problems utilizing the data, because companies now have a lot of data and they
Okay.
want to utilize that.
Hmm.
And the consulting firms, they also want to create long-term solutions using data science.
Hmm.
So that's where this kind of consulting domain is changing a lot basis the data.
Okay. Okay. So what kind of career progression one should expect from entry level to senior levels in terms of business analytics?
Correct. So, as I
And
said, right? So,
where to begin? Yeah.
okay. So the taking it part from the business analyst, right? It's a I would see it as, in my opinion, it's a like larger umbrella in which like you have a lot of roles, and depending on your interest, you get into one of the roles. So
Okay.
you can either be a data scientist, which is morely a technical role where you would be building models basis the data and the business understanding. Then
Okay.
there can be a statistician role, which you are dealing only with the statistics. You are dealing with only crunching the numbers and doing the statistics on top
Right.
of that. And then there could be quantitative analyst for hedge funds, right? So where you are doing quantitative, but nowadays, like earlier, it was a time that you have certain models, financial models. Now they are also utilizing multiple data streams, right, into the hedge fund or the financial industries. And
Right.
then you can also get into market research analyst or project manager kind of roles.
Okay.
So from the career progression, it depends on in which kind of role you are more interested and in which kind of role you would grow into. As a senior level, you would be like growing into a team where you are managing the data science team, and then you are prescribing the obviously the within your own firm, you are playing the role of a consultant to
Okay.
a CXO level.
Okay.
And the final, like there has been recent roles created as a chief data officer, which would
Okay.
look at all the data science applications, or from the data perspective, whether we are complying with the data or not, where
Okay.
our data would sit, right? So those everything would come into that umbrella, because
Okay.
data is something which is very valuable, but it's also very vulnerable. If you get your data out of the system, it has no value. If you have data within your systems and you are utilizing it to full potential, it can has a lot of value. So that's where the whole data science team coming into one chief data officer, and that's where your career progression would go.
Okay.
And obviously, if you are going into market research analyst or a product manager kind of role, so
Yeah.
then the trajectory would be a little different, because nowadays every role should have these basic understanding of data, and project manager is one which is like should be very aware of the data science applications, because they would be building the products and utilizing the data, what kind of data to collect. That's where like the project manager should
Okay.
have to think about.
Okay. Let's take some questions. I'm from a life science background, left mathematics after 10th. So would my background affect my prospects in business analytics?
No, so as I mentioned earlier, right? So it's not about your background, right? It's about your interest, current interest. If you're
Yeah.
really interested into getting into business analysis, as I mentioned, there are a lot of tools, automatic tools that are coming up. But the things you should be comfortable is working with the data, not fearing the mathematics at all,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And the third,
Yeah.
mathematic or coding for matter. And third one is you should be very much comfortable about getting decisions based on the data. So then you can easily get into business analyst kind of role,
Okay.
because it's your choice. I mentioned about the axis where you want to put yourself, towards the more towards the business side or more towards the technical side. And as like it always that from an engineer background, they would mostly be working towards the technical side, but from
Correct.
other backgrounds they would be mostly interested towards the business side. And but it's like, what is your current interest
Right.
irrespective of your background?
Okay. Now, I would like to ask you, what are the tips that they can, what are the things that they can do now, as in our MBA aspirants? Mostly, they are preparing for CAT. So obviously, some of them might even sit for PGDBA. And so the thing is, what is it that they can do now, as in profile building, which can probably help them to stand out from the rest, stand apart from the rest, rather.
So
Yeah.
from the course perspective, I would say that on Coursera, there are a lot of courses available. I'm not sure about any specific course, but you can just search for those, and that would be really helpful. And
Okay.
apart from that, I would really recommend, if you are really interested into data science and business
Right.
analyst kind of profile, just work with data, get a data, smaller data set from your own domain. You would
Okay.
definitely would be having that data.
Okay.
Just work on that and Google out things, or like what can you do.
Yeah. Okay, let's take some questions. Is it necessary to have in-depth statistical knowledge for business analyst?
I would not say in depth, but yes, a
Huh.
little bit on the statistics side you should be having. So
Okay.
statistics part, you should be having some knowledge about the
Hmm.
statistics.
Okay, tell me something for PGDBA. Is it preferable that you have a work experience before filling up the application and then taking PGDBA and pursuing it? Does it help, or do they prefer
Yes.
in selection process?
I would say yes, because like the core of the core philosophy of PGDBA course
Hmm.
was to getting people into mid and senior management, right?
Okay.
And there they would prefer someone with the work
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
But if you are a fresher, that's not a concern. Like they would hire freshers as well with zero
Okay.
work ex as well.
Okay.
But mostly you would find that if you get into the batch statistics,
Hmm.
almost 80% would fall into 2 to 3 years of bucket
Okay.
work ex, so that they know the
Okay.
industry and
Yeah.
they are ready for mid to senior level kind of
Right.
positions.
Oh, okay. Currently, who are the top recruiters in this field?
Okay, so top recruiters, anyways, like from past 4 5 years, it has been a booming field. So
Okay.
every name and every company they would be hiring. So
Okay.
from a PGDBA perspective, I would say there are a lot of companies, Amazon or D Shaw from the finance industry, Goldman Sachs, Mastercard, like PwC from the consulting and domain, Gartner from the consulting. They are like top recruiters into this space. And even if you go off campus, there would be like a lot other companies which would be hiring or specifically looking for these kind of skills, right? And almost, I would say almost every company is hiring for these kind of skills into business analytics role,
Okay. Hmm.
which who are more into data science and all. So they would be having a role for you.
Okay. So, did you, before getting into, since you were a data scientist before taking the PGDBA test, so, but before that, did you do any particular courses and all that, or while you were in PGDBA, did you even get time to do any courses during your
Okay.
PGDBA? I've heard that it's a very grueling 2 years of the PGDBA course. Which part is difficult for whom? Can you tell us?
As I mentioned, right? So depending on your background, right?
Uh,
So if you are coming from an engineering background, probably statistics and IIT Kharagpur would be okay with you, but the IM part would be a little bit friction would be there from your
okay.
perspective. If you are coming from a more of a business kind of field or more
Hmm.
of other
Hmm.
fields, you would be very comfortable with the IM, and you would
Okay.
be struggling a little bit on statistics or
Hmm.
the ISI and Kharagpur part, where is more technical, implying
Hmm.
more of a technical knowledge. Uh, on the second part, like before doing the PGDBA,
Hmm.
I did not specifically do any courses. I just into my domain only. I was working with data, and there on I would just learn a lot on the online platforms. There
Hmm.
is a lot of learning available on online, and I
Hmm.
would learn about that, and that's where like I got really interested.
Hmm.
And on the certification part, while you are doing
Hmm.
PGDBA,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
People do specifically in finance. If
Hmm.
you are really interested into finance, you would be doing CFA or FRM while you are pursuing PGDBA. So I myself, as because I was interested into finance, so I myself did
Okay.
FRM
Hmm.
during that. And
Okay.
the beauty is like you can really connect what you are learning and what you are applying in let's say CFA or FRM, because
Hmm. Hmm.
now you know everything about the mathematics or
Hmm.
statistics and how you are applying into a financial domain, that
Okay.
you can really understand from the giving these
Okay.
certifications.
How business analytics helps in operations management and also in marketing management? Mm.
Operations management, I would like it's a almost a separate kind of
Yeah.
field that we
Yeah.
learn, and that we have specialization specifically within PGDBA course
Do
also.
business analysts, are they also hired for operations, and are they also hired for other, like other than,
Yes.
of course, you were in finance, fintech, but is there operations and all where they can be employed?
Yes, there's definitely like different kind of fields they would be
Okay.
working. As I said, right, so you would be choosing your kind of I would not say like domain, but you would be choosing which kind of domain you are interested in based on the
Right.
electives you have taken,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
there are a lot of electives available for operation management or
Hmm.
supply chain management for that matter. And to give you an example, right, let's say for Amazon, you see that 1 day or 2 day prime delivery, right? Get it in 2 days.
Hmm.
There's almost like they have created a large pipeline of data to get to that button that okay, this product is eligible for 1 or 2 day delivery,
Okay.
because at the back end they are doing this data analysis and business analysis, and they are crunching this data to get to that okay, this is what you can have this product into 2 days.
Hmm.
And that's where
Okay.
like all
Yes.
these ties up. In
Okay.
operation management also you would do a lot of optimization problems. For
Okay.
example, let's say a traveling salesman
Hmm.
problem for almost any kind of delivery platform would be dealing with that kind of problems, right? So how
Hmm.
you deliver to each of the locations minimum time,
Hmm.
that's a already a known optimization problem. But now you have a lot of data. Can you get your systems to learn out of that data, and then they can provide. And
Okay.
Uber, in your day-to-day example,
Hmm.
Uber uses a lot of data science at the back
Okay.
end, like which cab to give, right? Which would be the location. Uber Pool is a great
Hmm.
example. How you optimize, right? So it's not into one field. It's into it's a not a vertical. It's a horizontal field which spans through a lot of fields, and that's where PGDBA gives you confidence. You
Okay.
can get into any kind of field, and it gives you confidence. Okay, I can work into this field, and I can apply my business knowledge because I've learned
Hmm.
about this
Hmm.
field a lot
Hmm.
little. Then I can gain more knowledge, and I can apply my knowledge
Right.
into this field to get into a business. So it's
Correct.
a really a horizontal, not a vertical kind of domain.
Hmm. Okay.
It
Okay.
spans horizontally.
Can you talk a little bit about, say, one challenge that you've probably faced in Goldman Sachs as a data scientist? Like maybe one example of, something like that.
So one major
Yeah.
challenge, I think, from any data science or business analyst or
Hmm.
any kind of role
Hmm.
that I really feel is like, how do you convince your business to
Hmm.
go about this decision and not a decision,
Hmm.
right? And that too based on the data science. You have to convince like higher management. You
Okay.
have to go for this decision,
Hmm.
and that because they are not interested into what kind of models you have built.
Okay.
Have you built like any kind of deep learning or state of the art models? They are
Okay.
not interested if it's
Okay.
in top research papers or not.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
they are interested how it is going to impact their business,
Right.
right? And how would you manage this ongoing, right? It's
Hmm.
not a one time job that okay, you said that okay, target these customers
Hmm.
and that's I am done for.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like how you would be doing and converting that into a I would say a whole project, right? And how a whole platform. How would you convert that so that business can automatically learn based on that
Hmm.
data? That's what really matters.
Hmm.
So that is the major challenge right now. It's like how do you convince higher stakeholders, and how do you convert one your solution to a platform or a project altogether so that it can automatically run.
Okay, list some best colleges to pursue PGDBA. Well, Vignesh, of course, there is IIM Calcutta, which is this course is one of the oldest. I think the oldest, is it? Is it the first?
Yes, it's a
Yeah, it's the first one. So that is jointly offered by IIM Calcutta, IIT Kharagpur, and ISI Kolkata. You can also look at IIM Bangalore, the course offering, they have started it recently. Then Praxis Kolkata, you can also see there. Then IIM Kashipur and IIM Ranchi. Go through their the curriculum that they have for PGTBA, and you can decide for yourself. So, okay, which coding knowledge do we require? And like, I have knowledge about SPSS. Would that help? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Yeah.
SPSS is also a statistical tool, right?
Okay.
It's again a tool to get your data crunching or to get your data analysis, right? At the
Hmm.
end of the day, I would say tool doesn't matter. It's your knowledge, what you are getting out of, whether you are able to understand the output of that software or not, right? Or whether you understand that what you need to give to the software or not. So that's what really matters. And on the coding side, it's like on the job you can learn. It's not a separate skill. On the job, if you know the basics, if you have strong fundamentals, right, so you would definitely learn on the job what to do and what not to
Okay.
do. There would be a
Okay.
lot of tools coming up, automatic tools coming up in future as well.
So, who are the top recruiters these days in business analytics? Who are
I
being,
would say,
yeah.
yeah, I would say in financial domain, or like Goldman Sachs or World Quant, or those kind of firms, JPMC, they would be recruiting a
Okay.
lot into the finance and asset management or different
Okay.
kind of division,
Hmm.
consumer business as
Hmm.
well. And in terms of consulting domain, there are PwC,
Okay.
who would hire for their direct division, right?
Hmm.
There would be McKinsey for knowledge center, and a lot of other consulting, almost every top consulting
Hmm.
firm would be hiring
Hmm.
that. And from the technical or more into a product kind of companies,
Hmm.
Amazon hires for their business intelligence engineer roles,
Hmm.
right? So they would have a separate team. Then Google would hire more of a technical role, which would be
Okay.
machine learning. Google and
Right.
Facebook,
Hmm.
those would be more inclined towards technical, but they have amalgamation of
Okay.
business as well into that.
Hmm.
So that's like almost every company, because I said that it's not
Yeah.
a vertical, it's a horizontal.
Right.
So every company wants to
Every
span it
company.
into that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of scope basically in this particular field.
Exactly.
So can you please shed some light on the fees for the course? How does the ROI look? Yeah, that's a nice question.
I think fees is almost similar to an MBA course.
Okay.
On that, it's very similar to an MBA course.
Hmm.
And from an ROI perspective, right? Because it's a not that older course, so
Hmm.
the kind of people, you not many available seats, right?
Yeah.
And many times from the PGDBA perspective, if I would say that there is always a challenge of demand and supply. So demand is more and supply is less, because there
Ah.
are only a very less students. So you
Hmm.
would obviously definitely get into a better company, and the career path would look a lot more um brighter, I would say.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
you talk about ROI, that's what you should be
Yes.
looking at, what kind of roles you would be
Correct.
getting into.
Hmm.
And I think every now you have like if you are looking at the market, right?
Hmm.
Every IM wants to create a new course for business analysts.
Right.
Every technical institute also wants to get into kind of creating a new course. Now I think there are courses which with 4 years specializations as well, like 4 year engineering degree, but
Hmm. Hmm.
that's more focused on data science and AI. Those are also coming up. So
Yes.
there's a lot of scope into that. And while looking at the ROI, you should be looking at that bigger picture.
Hmm.
What is there? Yeah.
Okay. There's a question about, is this course PGDBA helpful to those who are working in software, QA department, quality assurance, and working on database performance testing as well?
Yes, I think it's more of a, you are working into a technical software and
Yeah.
databases
Hmm.
and all, and you are interested into getting into a business kind of
Hmm.
knowledge as well.
Hmm.
So that's where I would again reiterate that if your interest matters, no matter what you are doing into the, like what field you are into or what background you are into, if you are building interest into that, work into this, and you can easily get into a PGDBA kind of course. And on the statistics basis, right, if I would say that
Hmm.
almost 30 to 40% people are from software engineering background or
Right.
database
Yes. Yeah.
background into the course that I've
Correct.
seen in my
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
course during these 4 or 5 years of the course. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's 30 to 40% would be from these software or technical, more of a technical roles and all. Then 30 to 40% would be already be working into consulting industries or more of a data science kind of jobs.
Hmm.
So those definitely are there.
How much of your work comprises of making machine learning models?
Okay, I would say that around making machine learning models, specifically into machine learning models, it's
Hmm.
20%. Rest is spent into understanding the business and what kind of machine learning models you would finding out the problem, whether finding out the problem is the major chunk, and how to deal with that problem, how to get into the solution of that problem. That is the major chunk of work. Machine learning models, as I said, that they would be building a machine learning models. It's now one click away, so
Okay,
you
yeah.
don't have to do a lot.
Okay.
But understanding before and the output of that model, what you input and what you output, you should have a thorough understanding of those. So,
Okay. What type of coding, like Java, Python, or what type of coding is needed?
in terms of as I mentioned, right, this can be learned on the job, or I see a lot of people in PG getting into PGDBA course who would learn it there, like coding for the first time, and mostly the coding would be done into Python, and that's what there it is. But sometimes you have to deal with Java as well, but that doesn't matter at the end of the day. It can be learned on the job. Yeah.
I'm really interested in money market. I'm a market participant in stock market. What should be my next step if I want to make it in my profession?
If you are looking from a data science perspective, right? So now the people, financial industries are coming up with, because they were earlier they were doing a lot of statistics. So the field really emerges from that, right? And now they want to take more into it, get more value out of that data that you are working into. So if you are working into stock markets or money markets, right, you can just learn about what are the recent innovations. There are a lot of innovations into this field using the data science, how you can develop a lot of models. So time series is one example where you look at the time trends and you would see what would the future looking like. So that is there.
So
Rather than
for the test preparation for PGDBA, what would you tell? What tip would you give for preparation?
for the okay, so for the preparation, I would say that it's mostly like, because the difficult part or the most focused part is the quant, and you should be again brushing up everything from 11th and 12th mathematics. So that is where the focus would be. So, and there is a 3-4 months gap between CAT and the PGDBA exam. So because you already have prepared VA and DI, so all you need to do into these 2-3 months is like brush up your mathematics skills of 11, 12, and then prepare for PGDB exam. So that's how it all works out.
Okay. Which curricular activities did you find best during the PGDBA program?
During the PGDBA program, I would say that networking with the people, that's a definitely plus, because you network with a lot of like different diverse backgrounds who have worked from different industries, and you get to know, get more knowledge out of them. And apart from that, I would say that because you get a flavor of each of these institutes, right? Three institutes, it's a very unique program. So you would be interacting with those students as well, coming from there, right? So if you get into an IM, you would only be interacting with the IM alumni. But this course offers you to interact with ISI, interact with ISI professors as well, interact with IIT Kharagpur or IIT Kharagpur professors, right? And then getting into IM. So it gets you a flavor of everything. And that's what really is interesting about PGDB. It's one of a unique course to have been offered by 3 institutes. It's very difficult to get 3 institutes getting into like this kind of managing these kind of courses, but it has been a really success.
So which part did you enjoy the most?
I was always more inclined for statistics, so I enjoyed a lot at ISI Kolkata. The professors are really smart, and they are really humble, and you would get a lot of knowledge from them. So that's where I was really interested into statistics. So I enjoyed a lot of my tenure at ISI Statistics.
I've done a course on data analytics and want some kind of practical experience. So how could I do that?
So for practical experiences, there are a lot of online data competitions as well. For example, Analytics Vidya, they get a lot of hackathons or like coding or data science competitions. Then there's a Kaggle where you can learn a lot because you can easily access to the data, and once you have the data, you can learn more about that. And from the more practical experience, I would say that get from your data from your domain and work on that.
Okay. So, so before we wrap up, how about giving us a few tips for the MBA aspirants? So basically, our students are CAT aspirants. So, but of course, some of them would be also will be taking PGDBA as well next year. So, yeah, what tip would you give to
So
them?
I would say that for now, probably the only challenge you would be doing from your perspective is like introspect whether you want to be into a more of a business kind of role, so whether you want to be more of a technical role, or
Okay.
if you are really interested into mathematics and
Hmm.
statistics, then PGDBA should be the one that you should be focusing on.
Okay.
And also from the, if you are not interested into, then you can do MBA, and then also you can get into a business analyst role. So it's
Right.
not a hardcore cutoff, because the lines get blurry as you move into your career progression. But find out your interest, do some kind of courses, or let's say
Yeah.
do a simple let's say 1 or 2 day workshop
Hmm.
on your own, and then you can introspect easily.
Okay. Where do you do these workshops?
Yeah, so workshops is basically, I said that there are a lot of online platforms
Okay.
available. Analytics Vidya, Kaggle, or you can do a lot of more there. So yeah,
Okay.
and there are discussions there, so you can go through the discussions.
Hmm.
You are really interested into like one kind of problem, you choose your problem, that this is what my interest is. Let's say I do this problem, and then you can say that okay, whether I'm more inclined towards or not.
And for the PGDBA test, yes, brush up your 11th and 12th
11, 12 maths a lot.
mathematics. Yeah. Okay. Okay. With that, we will wrap up. Thank you, all our attendees, and thank you so much, Puneet Vashisht. It was a pleasure having you here in this session and giving so much of clarity about business analytics. Thank you so much, Puneet.